Grace Morgan should have known better than to trust a man who still needed his mother's approval. At 30 years old, she met James at a marketing firm when they were both 23. He was charming in that quiet way some women mistake for depth. Soft-spoken, which she thought meant thoughtful. What she didn't know, it just meant weak. The proposal came in the park. Down on one knee, tears in his eyes. "You're my everything, Grace." What he didn't say. "As long as my mother approves." Patricia Morgan, James's mother, didn't attend their engagement party, didn't attend their wedding. Both times she claimed the flu. The truth, she thought her son was marrying beneath him. Grace gave her 5 years trying to win her over. 5 years of bending, sacrificing, trying. When James wanted to start his own digital marketing agency, Grace quit her job as a graphic designer to help him. 18-hour days building his website, designing logos, managing clients. All unpaid, all out of love. "When the business takes off, we'll both reap the benefits," he promised. The business exploded within 3 years. Morgan Digital pulled in $500,000 annually. James hired employees, rented a sleek office, wore expensive suits, and Grace, still working from their cramped apartment, still unpaid, still waiting. Then came the positive pregnancy test. Grace was terrified to tell him. But when she finally did, James surprised her. He smiled, kissed her, spun her around their kitchen. "We're having a baby. This is perfect." For exactly 14 days, everything was perfect. Then Patricia found out. Patricia showed up unannounced on a Tuesday afternoon. Grace was 3 months pregnant, fighting morning sickness. "We need to talk," Patricia announced, walking in uninvited. Grace straightened. "Of course. Can I sit down?" Grace Saturday. Patricia remained standing, towering over her. "You're pregnant." An accusation, not a question. "Yes, James and I are excited." "How much do you want?" Grace blinked. "What? How much money will it take for you to leave my son and get rid of that thing?" The room tilted. "Excuse me. Let's not pretend. You trapped my son. You've been leeching off him for years. I'm offering $50,000. Leave quietly. Terminate the pregnancy. Never contact James again. Get out of my house. It's not your house. It's a rental paid for by my son. Do we have a deal? Get out." Patricia's eyes narrowed. "We'll see how long that defiance lasts." When James came home, Grace told him everything. She waited for rage for him to defend his wife, his unborn child. Instead, James went quiet. Maybe he started slowly. "Maybe we should think about whether this is the right time for a baby." Grace's heart stopped. "What? The business is critical right now. Babies are expensive. And Mom has a point. Your mother told you to ask me to terminate this pregnancy and you're actually doing it?" He couldn't answer. Just stood there spineless. Grace should have left that night. But she had no money, no job, no family, no safety net, so she stayed and prayed he'd change. Instead, he grew more distant. 6 months into her pregnancy, Grace woke to garbage bags being filled. James was packing her clothes, shoving them into black trash bags like Rifu. "What are you doing?" Grace asked. "You need to leave," James said. That's when Patricia emerged from the bedroom. She'd been in there while Grace slept. "He's getting married," Patricia announced triumphantly, "to someone appropriate. Someone worthy of the Morgan name." "Time stop." "Married," Grace whispered. "Her name is Victoria Rothschild," James said quietly. "She's been investing in the business. We've been getting to know each other, and we're married," Grace said, voice rising. "Not for long," Patricia said smugly. "The annulment papers are filed. You signed a prenuptial agreement hidden in those marriage documents. So trusting. The prenup says if the marriage ends before 7 years, you get nothing. It's been 5 years and 10 months. Perfect timing. You planned this." Grace breathed. "I'm giving you $50, James said, pulling bills like he was tipping a server for a bus ticket. Grace laughed bitterly. $50. I'm 6 months pregnant. You need to leave now." James's voice was firmer with his mother watching. "I gave up everything for you," Grace said through tears. "And I appreciate that," James said robotically. "But it's time to move on." Patricia shoved a garbage bag at her. "Your belongings. Everything else stays." Grace looked at James one last time, searching for the man she'd married. There was nothing, just emptiness where his spine should have been. "When this baby is born," Grace said quietly, "you'll have a child out there. What should I tell them about their father?" Something flickered in James's eyes, but Patricia's hand landed on his shoulder. "Tell them whatever you want," he said. Just far away from here. Grace stood on the rain-soaked sidewalk, 6 months pregnant, clutching a garbage bag and $50. She had one person left, Victoria Chen, her old college roommate. They'd lost touch, but Victoria had sent a Christmas card with her address. 2 buses standing the whole way because sitting hurt, crying while strangers pretended not to see. Victoria opened her door, saw Grace's face, and didn't ask questions. Come inside. Whatever happened, we'll fix it. Grace collapsed on the doorstep, sobbing. Victoria caught her. I've got you. When Grace told her everything, Victoria went quiet. You're better off without him, Victoria finally said. Grace laughed through tears. I'm 6 months pregnant, homeless, and broke. You're free. Free to build an actual life instead of being someone's servant. You built an entire business from scratch. You just gave it to the wrong person. This time, build for yourself. Victoria didn't just give Grace a room. She gave her family. Victoria's husband Marcus and their daughter Lily immediately welcomed Grace. When's the baby coming? Lily would ask, carefully touching Grace's belly. Soon, sweetheart. Those moments slowly healed something inside Grace that had shattered. At 7 months pregnant, Grace needed to work. I'm a graphic designer, she told Victoria. I just need a computer. I can freelance. Victoria set her up with a laptop. Within a week, Grace had her first client, a bakery, needing a logo, $50. But it was her $50 money she earned that led to another client and another word spread. Grace Morgan does beautiful work affordably. By month 8, Grace was covering groceries and contributing to the household. On the second hospital day, Grace gave birth on a Tuesday with a strange expression. 23 hours of labor ending with a perfect baby boy. Tell him to leave. The nurse placed him in her arms and everything else evaporated. Tell him to leave or I'll call security. Hello. 5 minutes later, Grace whispered. James appeared. I'm your mom. Anyway, and I promise you'll never feel like you're not enough. Haunted. Victoria cried harder than anyone. I just want to see my son. Perfect. Get out. Grace had $53 in her account. You made no idea how she'd afford. I'm married to Victoria Rothschild, but she had her son, and that made her richer than she'd ever been. Closer. But she can't have children. Medical condition. We found out last week and Mom when she heard you'd had a boy. Understanding crashed over Grace. No, I want to be in his life. You wanted me to terminate this pregnancy. You threw me out. You didn't ask if we survived. I know I was wrong. You don't get to be wrong and come back when it's convenient. Security appeared. Sir, you need to leave. I have rights. I can demand a paternity test. Then do it, Grace said coldly. Get your lawyers and I'll tell a judge exactly how you treated me. Let's see how that plays in court. Jamesy's face went white. Grace, please get out. And if you come near my son without a court order, I will destroy you. He looked at Matthew, sleeping peacefully. Genuine longing crossed his face. But let him want what he threw away. He left for the next year. Life became beautiful chaos. Grace worked during naps building her business. Clients became regulars. Referrals multiplied. Her rates increased. She wasn't rich, but she was building something real. Then 2 weeks after Matthew's first birthday, a process server arrived. Lawsuit. James was petitioning for paternity testing and shared custody. Victoria found Grace shaking holding the lawsuit. He's trying to take Matthew like hell he is. They hired Rebecca Stone, a fierce family law attorney. Tell me everything, Rebecca commanded. Grace did. Do you have proof? Rebecca asked. Victoria witnessed everything. Text messages. Maybe we can subpoena records. Here's reality. He'll get his paternity test, but given the abandonment, we argue for supervised visitation only, and we make it public, expensive, and painful. Public? Rebecca smiled grimly. How would James feel about the business community knowing he threw out his pregnant wife, that his mother orchestrated everything? He'd hate that. Exactly. We don't just defend, we attack. Back child support, medical expenses, full custody, supervised visits only after parenting classes. The paternity test confirmed James was Matthew's father. Then war began. James' lawyers painted Grace as bitter, claiming she'd hidden the pregnancy and chosen homelessness. Rebecca destroyed them. Victoria testified about the garbage bag and $50. Hospital records proved abandonment. Bank statements showed zero support. Then Rebecca called Patricia Morgan. Mrs. Morgan, did you offer Grace money to terminate her pregnancy? Patricia's lawyer objected. Overruled. I offered her a solution, Patricia said coldly. A solution involving money to end her pregnancy. Yes. The courtroom went silent, and when she refused, you arranged for James to marry someone richer while Grace was still pregnant. I introduced him to a suitable partner, a richer partner from an appropriate background. And when that wife couldn't have children, you suddenly wanted the grandson you told Grace to abort. Patricia flushed. My son has rights. No further questions. The judge took 2 weeks. I've reviewed everything, he began. This involves a child who deserves stability and a father who abandoned him and seeks involvement only when convenient. However, courts favor parental relationships when possible. Therefore, all visitations supervised for 6 months. Costs paid by Mr. Morgan. Mr. Morgan completes parenting classes. Back child support $36,000 plus $1,500 monthly. Reimbursement for medical expenses $48,000. Full custody remains with Ms. Morgan. James's face went gray. Your Honor, I can't afford. You could afford to marry into the Rothschild family. You can afford your son. Dismissed. James completed 2 supervised visits. Matthew screamed through both. After the second visit, James stopped coming. Child support arrived automatically. But James himself. 2 years later, Grace stood in her own apartment watching Matthew play. Her business had grown. Steady clients, good rates, real savings. One Saturday, someone knocked. A well-dressed woman stood there with devastated eyes. Grace Morgan. Yes, I'm Victoria Rothschild. Morgan, James's wife. Can I come in? Against instinct, Grace let her in. I didn't know about you, Victoria said immediately. Patricia told me you were an ex-girlfriend. I believed her. Now I'm getting divorced. James cheated. Called me defective for not having children. Patricia called me a failure. Despite everything, Grace felt sympathy. I'm sorry. Don't be. I found these in James's office. She handed Grace an envelope. Letters from Patricia coaching James on how to get rid of you. Proof it was all planned. Why give me this? Because you deserve to know it wasn't your fault. And because Victoria hesitated. Patricia is coming for Matthew. Full custody. She wants an heir. She'll use every penny to take your son. Grace's heart stopped. I'm giving you a head start. I'm sorry for everything. Grace called Rebecca immediately. She's coming with everything. Then we fight with everything we have, Rebecca said firmly. Grace, you're a good mother. You've built a stable life. No judge will take a child from his loving mother because a rich grandmother wants an heir. Are you certain? No, but I'm certain we'll fight like hell. The battle hasn't happened yet. Patricia is gathering forces. But Grace isn't the same woman James threw away. Grace survived. Built a life from $50. Raised a beautiful son. Grace won't surrender. When Patricia comes for her son, she'll learn what mothers are made of. Not money, not status, but steel, love, and unbreakable will. James threw Grace out thinking she was trash. But trash doesn't fight back. And Grace will fight until her last breath. Karma came for James. His marriage crumbled. Now it's coming for his mother. And Grace will make sure it hits like a freight train. This morning, Matthew climbed into Grace's lap. Mama, why are you crying? She hadn't realized she was. Happy 'tis, baby. Because you love me. Because I love you so much it hurts. He kissed her cheek and returned to playing. Grace made a silent promise. No one will ever take you. No money, no lawyers, no grandmother. You're mine and I'm yours. We're going to be okay because we have something they'll never understand. We have each other and that's worth more than all the Morgan money in the world. Have you ever had to fight for your child against impossible odds? Have you been thrown away and came back stronger? Tell your story in the comments. If you're facing your own battle, remember you're stronger than you think. They can take everything except your will to fight for what you love. I hope you enjoyed this story as much as I enjoyed telling it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful storytelling. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new upload.